right, guys, we're back again. John was nice enough to bring some of the fishing baits that he uses, and he says you can use these on a fly rod or a spinning rod. So we're going to kind of come up close to the camera and kind of explain to you what they are and what the conditions you might use that for. All right,
Okay, so the most common bait that people use for these trout is called an egg sack, and it's basically fish eggs tied in a net bag in a little bundle about the size of between a dime and a quarter. These happen to be eggs that I harvested myself. You will, if you buy egg sacks, they'll be salmon eggs in New York State because it's illegal to sell trout eggs. But they'll be about the same size, and you know, they come in all the popular colors: pink, orange, and chartreuse are the most popular, and then some people favor blue, actually.
This is obviously orange, I believe.
This is orange, and one of the very popular colors. And basically, you just take a hook and hook it through the netting, and let it drift along the bottom. And the trout, because they're spawning, are taking any loose eggs and crushing them, and the fish that are done spawning will eat the eggs.
Okay.
So eggs and imitations are very popular. So along those lines, if you don't want to mess around with egg sacks, which contain real eggs, there's a number of different egg imitations, including, well, I guess there's two major kinds. So hard ones, which are plastic trout beads, they're called. And they come in a million colors. The popular ones are, this is kind of a natural color. Green is very popular. And of course, pink. Pink is always popular.
Would there be a particular color for depending on the clarity of the water? So I would imagine a brighter color if the water's muddy and dark.
Yeah,
you might want a brighter.
When the water is like it is today, which I call kind of a dishwater.
Yeah.
It's dirty, but you can see a little bit. You can see maybe 6 to 12 inches, but it's still kind of dirty. You could use the brighter colors like pink or chartreuse.
Yeah.
When it's super clear, which does happen, then you want to go very natural colors,
yeah.
Basically. And the other major kind of egg imitation is soft eggs, which you probably can't tell the difference, but they're squishy. They're just made out of rubber. And the advantage of the soft eggs is you can put them right on the hook.
Okay.
And they're easy. You just put it on the hook and you fish it. Whereas the trout beads, because they're hard, you can't just stick it on the hook. You have to take your hook off, put the line through, tie a special knot, and then the hook actually hangs down a few inches below the bead.
Okay.
But you know, plenty of instructional videos on YouTube about how to use them. But between egg sacks, beads, and soft eggs, and I didn't bring any, but for the fly fishermen, egg flies.
Okay.
Which is just various materials tied on a hook to look like an egg, and they the same colors: chartreuse, pink, you know, etc. And
so I did have a lot of guys were chatting on the channel about trout magnets. What is this about? It's just
so
it's a bait, but I really didn't know at that point what they were talking about.
Trout magnet is a particular kind of lure made by a specific brand, made by a company. It's a very, very, very tiny jig. You could fish it on a fly rod. It's so small, probably, and it doesn't look like much. I have these plastic worms. They're called trout worms. The trout magnet is probably about that big.
Okay. And the hook is on it, I believe, right?
Well, it's a hook with a weight built in, And the plastic, when you buy them, they have the little plastic body on there.
Okay.
But you can, if you catch a bunch of fish, the plastic will eventually get ripped off.
So if you buy it,
and you can buy more.
you're gonna have to buy another.
You
one,
can
right?
buy more replacement bodies
Now,
for that. Yeah.
So if we're looking at, we got to catch a fish that's at least 15 inches or bigger. So
Okay. Yep.
what size hook? Because obviously, a tiny little hook is probably not going to work out great for a larger fish.
Well,
Or- So what size hook would you recommend here in this?
so you don't want to use too big of a hook. And I carry a range of hooks from like 12, which is pretty small, 12, 10, 8. 8 is probably the one I use
Number 8. Okay.
most commonly, especially with egg sacs. I rarely use anything bigger than a 8
And you were saying one of the largest fish you ever caught was right up in here.
right here,
Oh, all right.
right there.
And that doesn't mean that you're going to catch one this year here.
Nope,
because they could be anywhere.
I was walking along and I saw 2 or 3 fish and was able to approach them without spooking them.
Right.
And about the 3rd cast, I was actually using a fly at the time and it ate the fly. And
There you go. So
yeah,
with so for casting in this running water, does
Mm-hmm.
it make sense? Like if you want to fish here where this water pool is spinning, does it make more sense to be above it, cast in, and then your stuff comes down, or is it?
so honestly, on a stream like this, you're not really casting
Yeah, you're kind of just
very much.
yeah.
Um,
But do you want to be above the hole you're fishing or below the hole?
I usually like to be directly opposite because, you know, you're
See better.
well, because you want to drift whatever you're using, a fly rod or a spinning rod. You want to cast up and drift and let it sink and then drift and bounce along the bottom.
Okay.
So you're going up, bounce, 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 bounce. You're done, and you go
Right.
again. And it's the same if it's running water or a slower pool.
Okay.
And you're not really. I mean, I usually do a little underhand flip
Yeah.
because you don't need to cast very far at all. All right, so this is, I want to be clear, this is one way to fish Catherine's Creek. It's not the only way. You can use a spinning rod, but it looks like a fly rod, and it is a fly reel and a fly rod, but it's rigged up different, okay? I only have monofilament on here. I don't have a fly line, and I just have I have my main line here. I have a little swivel and then a leader, which is thinner and clearer line, a few split shot, and then a hook that I'll put my egg sac on or a rubber egg. And of course, if I'm using a bead, I'd rig it up a little bit differently. But you could fish all 3 with this. And you know, the key to with your fly reel, if you do use a fly reel, is make sure it has a pretty decent drag, because if you do hook one of these bigger fish, you may want to use the drag to help control the fish. So, and again, you're not fly casting on this creek. All I normally do is flip and drift. So you may flip it this way or underhand, you know, pitch, like you're pitching docks for a largemouth bass or something, but it's really all you need to be doing on this stream to get yourself into fish. All right, and you want to do a close-up here? Or? Now that's a very old classic fly reel called a Martin Multiplier that was popular probably 50, even longer years ago. But
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I picked it up used just to fish with a little more classic flair, but any of the modern fly reels actually are technically a lot better and do a better job for you.
All right, guys, I want to thank John for coming out and giving us some tips and tricks. I will have, I'm probably going to break this up a bit into sections and give you some ideas. We'll also have some footage in a couple of weeks before the first, just some conditions in case you're from out of town, or even the local guys that are working and real busy. maybe you'll see your favorite spot on there, and you'll have an idea of how deep the water is, how murky it is, and then you can decide what gear you need to bring. Probably better just to bring everything, because you never know what you're going to need. So we're going to wrap that up, and we'll see you here on the 1st. If you happen to see me, give me a wave. I'll be videoing. And if you catch the big one, I'd like to get a picture of it, and we'll go ahead and post it on our site. All right, peace out.